Welcome to Home Cinema and Tech Review. In this video, I'd like to talk about Asus Vivobook in 2024. This is my new laptop. I bought it myself. So this is hard-earned cash purchase, not a commercial or supported video. This is my new laptop. And this is my old laptop where I will tell you the story. This is the Asus Zephyrus if you watch the channel. And the difference between these two devices, why I swapped one to another, and is it any good, both of them? Are they any good? I will talk about it. So let's start with the specs. The one that I just bought, this is a Core i9 laptop, Intel 13900H, and it has 32 gigabytes of memory, and it has also RTX 4060. So I got a good bit of hardware, but it's lacking the speaker quality. The sound level is low compared to the Zephyrus, and sound level is generally low. It's very close to, this is sucking at the sound level. Not quite there, but very close. And the physical quality of the keyboard is not good. Not good at all. You would expect something like a black. I could accept black buttons with better tactile feeling or better feeling at all, because of the movement is also giving me like a cheap feeling compared to the Zephyrus keyboard. It doesn't feel, because nowadays it should be good, because there are a lot of keyboards from Huawei, from MacBook. Good laptops build quite a bit of thinner and better feeling on the writing level keyboards. And they say here Asus antimicrobiotic protection about 3 years, and it's been ISO tested. Let me just get it close to the camera. It says on the sticker, as you can see here, but it feels awful when you first touch it. After a while, probably the coating just somehow loses the friction, if I can describe it right. So you are not going to hate it for a long time, but first couple of days or weeks, you might be hating when you touch it. There is an awful feeling. So I would just want to point that out. If you don't like to touch stuff with friction on them, like peaches, or some tactile feeling is bothering you, you will hate this laptop, okay? So I'm not that kind of person. I work with my hands. I'm quite do-it-yourself kind of guy. So I don't hesitate to touch anything most of the time, but this feels bad when you first touch it. And the second thing is, maybe the third thing is, this is a 16X model, and it is big. As you can see, this is a 14-inch model, my early laptop. How big it is, it continues, right? So my point is, I've opened this laptop, and I was expecting from 16-inch another M.2 slot for my second SSD, but it didn't have any slots. You're going to see the inside view of it, and I will put it right here.
In this part of the video, I'd like to dive deep into the specs of the Vivo 16-inch Vivobook 16X. The model that I have is Core i9 13900H and also RTX 4060, and I have only one memory slot, which right now will giving me with the internal embedded memory. I got only 32 gigabytes. I can make it probably up top by changing this into 32, 48. You might be wondering, but I am not sure about the controller and the limits. I will share it in the technical information around the page that will come later. One of the problem is we got single M.2 slot, and at least 16-inch size laptop, I would expect something like 2 M.2 slots, because either for RAID or backup, or at least expanding the drive capabilities. We got a big battery here, and you'll be seeing the specs up top. Let's just return this and take a look at the specs. As you can see, this is the battery that we have currently. You're going to see every bit of detail in 4K. The battery is 70 watt hour, 11.61 volts, and it's kind of like enough for the specs, but don't expect extreme. you got still some space, but this is as it is. So this is the physical inside of this device, and at the bottom part this is fully plastic and nothing extremely sturdy. When you move it around, it could be easily bendable. So, and also the connection point is kind of like important. Let me just tell you like this. The connection is here, and it will be too thin of a connection. It's nothing bad, but when you hit it, it just clicks. Let me just show you. Clicks quite good, but nothing extremely sturdy. So opening is not going to be difficult. That's a good thing, but I don't think this is extremely sturdy over a long time use, and it's kind of like flexible because it is 16-inch. So large things always kind of like more fragile than the small things, as you might know. And the physical sound of it is like this. So we will take a look a bit of every kind of detail, physical detail, in the later section of this video.
Okay, if you watch this right here section inside of the laptop, I'm not happy with the inside setup of the laptop. Although we have a battery, we have a good battery life, by the way. That's why I've swapped to this laptop, but still it's not giving me extra ports. I mean with the extra ports, let me just show you. This side is, as you can see, HDMI, power input, sound output, one Thunderbolt or Type-C, and one Type-A port, if that is all. The other side is where I put my USB dongle for my keyboard and mouse setup, wireless, and a card reader. That's about it. I don't have any extra port. This 14-inch, 3 years old laptop has HDMI, Type-C, power input, and the sound. And here, as you can see, 2 USB, again, same, another Type-C. So we got one Type-C more with a lot older device. And you can upgrade it better than this one. So it's up to you. And the physical quality of the hinge from Zephyrus, okay, feels better. And the system, when you open it up, just raises the laptop's bottom part. As you can see, let's just watch here, okay, when I move. Slowly, I am moving, watch here, it's getting higher and it's higher. I can't stick my smallest finger in. But if I do the same thing with this, no change, no space at all. So ventilation design is way better from Zephyrus compared to the Vivobook. Although they are different league, they are in different category, I'm not against it, but still, you have to take this into consideration if you have dedicated GPU model. This was a Ryzen 7 5800H with the RTX 3050. So this is a gaming capable and video editing capable portable device, much more portable than this one. This is a 16X, this is a 14-inch, this is a 16-inch laptop. So why am I swapping? This doesn't have Thunderbolt because of the AMD probably, and this has the Thunderbolt because I have to test the external GPUs and I want to use external GPUs and stuff. And one more thing, the CPU of this Core i9 is 50% faster than the CPU of this Ryzen 7 5800H. And one more thing, the battery life is extremely better. I can use 4 hours, roughly 4.5 hours without the battery, and pretty much with wireless and, you know, screen in the 50% contrast. But with this, I have only less than 2 hours. So it is half the battery. Much more better battery control in the Intel side, and the generation, of course, probably. And the GPU is also, CPU is one and a half times faster, like 50% faster compared to this. And the GPU is 50% or maybe even a little bit more than the old generation. So all I can tell you, my render times drops like 50% at least. So that's why I've swapped. But is it any good? So I talk about the physical qualities and the hinge. This feels a little bit movable, like hinge setup, but not too bad. The camera protection is good. I can close in front of the camera, so it's a plus for my side. I like the privacy. and the bottom plastic doesn't feel that bad. So we got like friction, let's just say friction points, or how do I say, rigidity points. And that is going to be better word, I guess. So we got good points of touch to the motherboard, so it doesn't feel bad plasticky. But when you compare to the Zephyrus, also the same. They managed quite a bit of these things. But the issue is, I'm going to go back to the Zephyrus. Although this might be a higher level laptop, take a look at this. I'm getting close to you. Do you see this peeling off effect? And I probably made a couple of short videos. I'm going to peel it off right in front of you. You know how it feels? Awful. And it looks awful too. After 2 years, I am not a guy with sweating problem. You might be a teenager, you sweat a lot when you're gaming because you're excited and stuff, but I am dressing t-shirts in the snow, and I'm driving a coupe or cabriolet car while on the snow, open air, open top. So I love cold. I don't sweat too much. I don't sweat probably ever in this, especially in winter. So the problem is, this shouldn't be happening because I am using 70% of the time, maybe even more, on a laptop stand. This laptop lives its life on a stand. So I'm not touching it all day long. This peeling off is a pretty bad looking experience. This is a high-end product. It shouldn't be happening. Probably Vivobook won't be giving us problems because the plastic, much less quality plastic, might lose the color on time, or scratches could happen easily to this, to the Zephyrus compare, but still it probably wouldn't be making the peeling off effect because I had a lot of plastic based Asus laptops over the last 10 years. So I am, as you can see, always talking about physical problems, physical compatibilities, issues and stuff. The first time that I bought this Vivobook, I installed the Windows 11 perfectly, and then I got a blue screen of death, and it didn't came back. I tried everything and repairing, going back before last Windows update and stuff. After just a clean install without doing anything, okay, it just gave me blue screen. Then I realized Asus released a firmware or BIOS update, and it says in the declaration, it's solving the problem of not working correctly. Let me just repeat it again. Solving the problem of not working correctly? What do you mean? If it's not working correctly, why are you selling it? So this is Asus, okay? If you're buying new Asus, it will probably, in the beginnings, if you're buying the latest hardware without the firmware or BIOS update, it will make you hate the device that you purchased, because Asus is pushing the products quite fast and try to get a margin as much as possible. So there are design issues and there are price compared to quality issues. I know they got the badge of Asus and it looks cool, but most of the time before the early models, I had a lot of problems. I also had a TUF model and it didn't work out in the beginning for the Ryzen 4000 series with the dedicated GPU of probably GTX 1650. Dedicated GPU. It was a gaming laptop with the worst screen that I can see. I couldn't use it on the outside. The brightness was so dim, it was matte, and also dimming the light again with the matte finish. So the physical qualities, and I sold it after 1 year and got this Zephyrus instead of TUF series. If I were you, I would stay away from the entry levels of the Asus. Even the mid levels of the Asus could be problematic when you look at this peeling effect from Zephyrus and plasticky consideration of the Vivobook. I'm not against the Asus and not against any brand by all means, because putting out a product is a serious thing. I am working for different brands. So when you create a product, you have the responsibility. And if it's electronic, people will get back to you in 2 years, 3 years, depending on where you live, maybe even 5-year warranty. They will give it back to you to solve the problem. So no brand wants to create product with problems in advance because they don't want you to feel bad because of the brand image, and also they don't want to get the product back. Once they sell it, they want you to live with that product as much as you can without creating a problem to the company. So if it's up to the brands, they don't want it probably. But in the end, it happens, and many of the YouTubers has swapped from Asus to a different brands when it comes down to the GPUs and motherboards because of the Asus style of acting. And it's not about sponsorships. The channels that I'm talking about have millions of subscribers. So in that case, I'm talking about the physical appearance and physical build quality, how you should be choosing. I guess if you're onto cooling, this going up and down gives a lot of advantage to the Zephyrus series, and the build quality overall and the keyboard touching quality, the feeling of the keyboard is way better. If you're going to spend a little bit more compared to the Vivobook, I suggest the Zephyrus. But as you can see, the awful peeling off problem, I would stay away and try to buy something fully metal from other brands. If I were you, if I'm going to buy a laptop in 2024, and if the physical touching buttons, screen, speakers are more important sometimes for you than the hardware inside, then you might be considering the Huawei MateBook series because of fully metal case, better screen, better and brighter screen as much as the Apple MacBook series. So you won't be regretting it. And before this Asus Vivobook, I actually bought a Huawei MateBook 16D, and with the same CPU, 13900H. But it didn't have the dedicated GPU, and my external GPU came about 1.5 months, maybe 2 months later. But on the way, I needed a GPU because it couldn't make a proper playback with the internal CPU of Intel. 13900H is a good CPU, don't get me wrong, but without the GPU acceleration, video editing fails. I'm not talking about render time. You can put it in a render and leave it off. When you're off, it can handle it maybe, let's just say for a GPU 15 minutes, and for a CPU it could have been 1.5 hours. Yeah, but you can leave it in the empty time at night. You can live with that, maybe, but the playback, if you can't play back, you can't edit the video. So it was the issue. With an external GPU, if you're not into gaming for daily basis, for business, you should be definitely considering Intel style MateBooks. And I'm not paid by them. Like, this is not a sponsored video. And I'm not just talking about brands, but take a look at aluminum cased, physical, better laptops if you have the budget. Or if you're going to use it with a long battery life with the CPU only, not dedicated GPU is required, then you should be skipping the Vivobook or the Zephyrus style. I don't recommend because of the physical appearance. So why did I bought it? In the end, this was one of the best price performance devices all over the place. Like, I've looked at a lot of stuff, and RTX 4060 is way more than enough for my video editing, and I got dedicated external GPU whenever I want it at office. So if I can hit it in, I have RTX 4070 Ti with double the power of my internals, and it's not heating up. It's always giving the performance because it's external. It has its own power supply. So that's why I've swapped this, because of the Thunderbolt and much more powerful CPU, 50%. But if I was going to, use it like a casual office Excel kind of like user, I wouldn't be requiring a GPU. I would look about the physical abilities, Huawei MateBook, or probably Huawei's sub-brand, what was that? The Magic Book, again, from, I guess, sub-brand of the Huawei. It might be an option. I believe they are aluminum, metal cased, and the speakers are better, screens are better, physical quality is way better than all of these, and you'll be happy with the result. But if the GPU is issue, I would, if I were you, I would stay away from the gaming laptops because these things are quite thin, as you can see, working style, and you can carry them really. And the brick, we should talk about it. This is the brick, and let's just take a look. 120 watts. This is the specs. Okay, on the screen, if I'm putting it correctly, 20 volts, and it says on here 120 text. Maybe you can read it. On the side it says Asus, and this is a brick you have to carry. I couldn't manage to charge it from the Thunderbolt or Type-C port on the side with my 60 watt adapter. I didn't want to, you know, I could accept the long time charging, but it's important to charge from Type-C these days because you don't want to travel with a huge brick like this. But if it's a gaming laptop, it will be thicker, heavier, and probably the adapter will be huge instead of this. And I wouldn't recommend going in the gamer side. If you're not an extreme gamer, you can just connect the gamer screen, TV, or monitor with a good hertz level. You can play it from this laptop. So if it's cooling in the end, Zephyrus gets the thing. If it's overall Asus, well, for your needs, you could stay away from the Asus, or you can try the Vivobook like me. And let me know what you think at the comment section below. By the way, on the video, you're going to see the close-ups of the Vivobook all the time and the specs. I'm not against the specs. Upgradability is a problem. The second memory slot is only, the first thing is embedded. The second M.2 slot is a problem. I would always want to see some SATA SSD port inside to install 2 to 4 terabytes of space to create a storage for a device. This is a 16-inch, you know, business or working professional style, gaming style laptop. So you need a space. Sometimes you need a backup. You need a, you know, RAID style system, one clone to another. So this is missing all of these out. So it's up to you. Let me know what you think at the comment section below. I am not against any brand, and this is not a sponsored video. When I tell about the Dell XPS series, they might be ending. Alienware could be an option if you have in your region. Some of the high-end models from MSI or, you know, HP and Lenovo, you could check them out. But in my early experience, I would stay away from the Lenovo's GPU models. I would prefer more into the Lenovo's business side, like a Yoga or Flex series, when you know, return it and use it as a tablet and stuff. But for the gaming and cooling, I would prefer different brands than the Lenovo. I haven't tested their latest laptop yet, but overall, my 20-year experience, I didn't like most of the time Lenovo, other than the ThinkPad Professional series. If you're going to go for classical look with a robust feeling, then ThinkPad could be an option, but they look old. So it's up to you. Hope to see you in the next video, Home Cinema and Tech Review. Let me know what you think at the comment section below. If you have any laptop recommendations for people with the physical quality that you have tested, like definitely if you can say that this is a build quality good product, you can recommend the models, just specific models, and people can check that out and learn more stuff from your informations too. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.